Now then, there are 850,000 people in the UK living with dementia, and that number is set to rise over, I think it's 1 million by the year 2025.
But those diagnosed aren't always members of the older generation. Tonight, a new series on Channel 4 aims to destigmatise dementia in a very unique way. Take a look inside the restaurant that makes mistakes.
In a daring 5-week experiment, 14 volunteers, all diagnosed with some form of dementia, are finding out just what they are capable of by staffing their own restaurant.
What table is this for? I've no idea. I can't remember.
And if they can make this restaurant a success, could it force all of us to think again?
Oh, hello!
And show that those diagnosed still have a role to play at work and in society.
Running a restaurant is incredibly difficult. But actually, if we can do this, what else can we do?
Well, we're joined now by Sue Strawn, Jordan Adams and Josh Eggleton. So welcome
to all of you. Nice to meet you.
Start with you, Josh. Michelin star chef. So what made you want to do this?
Well, essentially, the project was based in Bristol, and I've worked with some of the producers before on Great British Menu, and they asked me to get involved with the project. And I run several restaurants in Bristol, and I think, for me, all restaurants and all kitchens are classrooms, and we need to be teaching and training people every day, and this is no different.
It was born out of an idea in Japan, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So originally it was done in Japan, but only from a front of house point of view. So everyone working front of house or working within the restaurant just to serve food. The restaurant that we opened, everybody within that restaurant worked in the kitchen, taking orders, making coffees, and did everything from start to finish, day to day.
And although, you know, you see restaurants as a classroom and you were the teacher of that, you yourself had a lot to learn,
I
didn't
did,
you?
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I've only got limited experience with dementia, and I had a lot to learn by listening to these guys and what it meant to them to be living with dementia.
Well, we watch shows like MasterChef or anything that involves a full-on, high-end, busy restaurant kitchen, and there's little room for mistakes in
No, there isn't, and to be honest, I really didn't know what was going to happen going into this, and I think we all felt like that. We were all in the same boat, and we had 14 people living with dementia working within this restaurant, and I kind of felt like I was part of that team, and to bring it all together was, you know...
But you have to adapt things.
Absolutely have to adapt. It's incredibly nerve-wracking, and I thought, I don't know how this is going to go on day one, but after day one, I was so pleased with the effort that they made and the standard that had been produced and the joy that came out of everybody working together.
All right, well, Sue, let's hear a bit about you, because you're 63 now, but it was in December 2012 and you were 55. You experienced transient global amnesia. So this was a sudden, short-term memory loss. So what do you remember of that time? What happened?
I don't actually remember any of it, but I remember what my partner told me.
OK.
We drove from Herefordshire, where we live, with a friend to the friend's house in Surrey. We stayed overnight, and the following day, Sheila was working in the house and I was with the friend cutting down a holly tree. Sorry, Holly. See what I did?
You'll forgive.
Yeah, right. Cutting down a holly tree with a chainsaw, and I came indoors and I said to Sheila, "Where are we?" And I had no recollection of the holly tree, the journey from Hereford.
So really frightening for you and everybody around you at that time. And you eventually, the diagnosis took 18 months and you were diagnosed with vascular dementia, which I think is one of the most common sorts of dementia. But you sort of living in denial after that.
I spent 18 months deciding that they got it wrong.
Right.
Because my only experience of vascular dementia was an elderly relative, neighbour, who became vile.
Right.
And like a lot of people, I believed that dementia only affected old people. You know, we're all old and dribbling and on the scrap heap. And that's not the case.
Just not the case.
Absolutely not.
No.
So what was your role within the restaurant?
I was behind the bar. It just sort of happened.
That's where you wanted to be.
Oh, OK. Thanks, then.
Were you nervous about it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because I wanted us to show that whatever our dementia diagnosis, we could still do stuff and we have still got something to offer. After my 18 months of being depressed, I had a choice. I could either stay at home, be depressed and depress everybody around me, or I could get out there and do something. And the restaurant was, for me, another opportunity to get my voice heard, if you like. And I didn't initially think my story was that interesting, but apparently it is.
Well, a lot of people would say, and you say you wouldn't change a thing, actually, of where you are in your life, but a lot of people are quite sad about the fact you do something like this, an experience like this, but you can't remember any of it. And so what you've done here, you've got your lovely memory books here, which you can go through, which will remind you of the experience that you've had.
With dementia, one can't always remember the facts, but you can remember the emotions.
Yeah.
And so looking at these books, for me, and I think for most of my colleagues, will bring back some of those opportunities. And we had such fun. We laughed a lot, didn't we?
Yeah.
We cried a lot too.
Yeah.
And I think people watching the programme will, hopefully, they will see the balance that's been made between the heartfelt and the humorous. And it's OK to laugh with us. There are some hilarious things that happened, and we laughed about it, and I think it's important that we do.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, you're 24, and you're the youngest person in there, not actually living with dementia, but this is something that is looming in the future for you. And because this is a family thing. So explain PICS.
Yeah, so I grew up to two loving parents, my dad Glenn and my mum Geraldine. She's from a large Irish family, and it just happens that within her family there's a certain gene mutation that's inherent that causes FTD or PICS disease. So both my nan, my mum's mum, my mum and my auntie, her only sister, all lived with the same form of dementia and sadly have all passed away.
And so you are 50% likely as a descendant to be living with this.
Yeah.
When you got diagnosed, you would, understandably, a lot of people would be thinking, oh my gosh, to hear that and to know that and to be able to see what is in your future would be devastating. But you said it was quite a relief, actually, to know.
Yeah, obviously, me, my brother and my sister all had a 50% chance of either getting the normal gene from my father or the mutating gene which causes the FTD from my mother.
Yeah.
Obviously, I wasn't fortunate in the case that I have inherited the mutating gene, but I lived with the uncertainty for so long, and it took control of my life to a point where I was depressed, I was angry, I felt like I wanted to take my own life at one point, and it became a real problem in my life, and I decided that knowing would be better, so I could plan my life for the future.
What is your future?
Obviously, I want to continue to raise awareness, but I'm lucky enough to meet my partner Lucy, who I'm very serious about, and we're very keen to have a family, and hopefully with pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, we'll be able to have babies through IVF without passing the gene on, so my kids don't have to live with dementia, which is really the main reason why I had the test in the first place.
Do you know when it's liable to kick in?
Through family history, probably my 40s, late 40s, but there's no saying. It's a matter of when, not if.
So this experience in the restaurant, although there were great times, at moments it was tough for you because you were looking around you thinking, gosh, not only did it remind you of your mum, what she was going through at that stage in her life, but also what your future was going to hold.
Yeah, I think it was always going to be difficult for me emotionally to expose myself to that type of environment with people who obviously are living with the day-to-day difficulties of dementia. And like you say, there were a couple of people who contributed, who worked with us, who showed very similar sort of characteristics to my mum, and that was difficult. But more than anything, through the whole process, the 13 other guys, including Sue, have just inspired me more than anything to show that there's a lot more living to do.
Well, I'm inspired. I only just met you both. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's lovely to meet you, and thank you very much.
I just wanted to show this as well, because you ran the London Marathon, didn't you?
That's very last year, I'm afraid.
So last year, which actually leads us on quite nicely, because you are running it next year.
Correct, yeah. Sue ran it last year for Alzheimer's Research UK, and I'm lucky enough, found out yesterday that I'm in for next year, so hopefully I can reach my £2,000 target.
Jordan, you will absolutely do that.
And yeah, looking forward to spreading the word.
As a show, I'm pretty sure we can help you with some of that.
That's great.
That's for sure.
Thank you very much. The show that we're talking about, The Restaurant That Makes Mistakes, 9 p.m. on Channel 4. And thank you very, very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Cheers.